You know what? That versus this right here. That frame of the window versus this frame of the window.
Whatever, man.
Lay down. There we go. All right, we're live. Hey, Dr. Tiff.
Hey, Jim.
You know what? So I was thinking today, it's been 2 weeks. We were both traveling, and so we had every intention of going live last week.
Yeah.
But come to find out, with the time zones, I goofed up the time zones. I was actually in the air on a plane during what our normal live stream would be. I called Tiff at the last minute. I was like, Tiff, we can't go. I'm not going to be, I literally will not be available.
Yeah.
But we were just hanging out with each other. And what an amazing experience. I love hanging out with you. I feel like I learn something from you every single time we're near each other.
I know. You always make me laugh.
It's the looks. Funny looking guy. No, really, what I take away from it is I love our friendship. I love what's developed here. I love the level of trust. I love the fact that I feel like I can ask you questions, that I don't know. I feel like I wish I was as comfortable with my regular doctor as I am with Dr. Tiffany. I love having you. If I haven't said it enough, I appreciate your coming onto this live stream with us and helping educate us on what really is happening to our bodies. I see Cindy's in here, Karen's in here, Steffi Green, that's my little niece. Hey, Steffi, Mike. Hi, guys, everybody. Welcome to this live stream. My name is Jim Grasser. I am a professional competitive barbecue cook. I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek. I've been off the competitive circuit for a number of years now. I'd like to get back to it, but that's really what I love doing. And I found myself sick a number of years back. 2021, in the middle of 2021, June 21st specifically, I was diagnosed with a 12.2% A1C, type 2 diabetic.
Wow.
That's bad. And as if that wasn't high enough, I had a 459 LDL and a 565 cholesterol and 561 triglycerides. Now, Doc, the triglycerides to HDL ratio, that's kind of a big deal. That's what we're honing in on now, right? I had a 561 triglycerides and a 22 HDL. That's like a 25.5 ratio.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Supposed to be under 2.
Yeah, under 2 would be great.
Yeah. And I did the usual suspects, right? I went to metformin, 2,000 milligrams a day, 4.5 milligram pen of Trulicity once a week. That's the GLP-1 that I was prescribed. Similar to Ozempic and Mounjaro, Trulicity's in that class, right? And it was a max dose of that. I was on a max dose of rosuvastatin calcium. That's the generic for Crestor. For my cholesterol. And then I was on losartan, wasn't a max dose, but 50 milligrams, I think it was, a day of losartan for my blood pressure. And I was 45 years old. And that's what you get to do for the rest of your life. Every day for the rest of your life is take these. And I was kind of content with that until I couldn't get Trulicity. Trulicity went on national back order, and a good friend of mine, Amory Wetton, I owe her my life. Amory Wetton was telling me about Unicity, the Feel Great system, and I decided to take a leap of faith, women of prayer, whatever you want to call it, and I trusted an old friend and decided to order the system. And I started the system, I believe the date was January 4th. If I would have known then what I know now, I would have kept better records, but I believe it was January 4th. Absolutely. If I would have known then, I would have kept better records.
Yep.
But I think it was January 4th. What I do know is that February 16th, I got a voicemail from my doctor saying I could quit taking my medications for type 2 diabetes. And I know that April 20th, the same doctor told me I could come off of my statin medications. And by August, I was off my blood pressure medications. I have normal blood pressure now, like 120 over 80, pretty consistently. And I went to TikTok. I started talking about this. And over the last year and a half, enough people have listened And we're starting to get people after people that are having similar results. And that's what I love about this live stream, is bringing in those testimonials of those people to tell their stories. Because I've told mine now, I feel like 1,000 times. Hearing theirs is so special. Along the way, I met Dr. Tiffany through Amory Wetton, the same wonderful person. So, Dr. Tiff, tell everybody why you're here. How did you get here? Why are you here? Introduce yourself.
Well, I like to refer to myself as just a doc who has just gotten tired of writing prescriptions. I've been practicing family medicine for 20 years, and I woke up in 2022 and was like, there's really got to be more than just writing these scripts all the time. I'm kind of tired of it. I'm giving people all these meds, and you know what? They don't really look that much better. Some of their labs may get a little better, but they don't look that much better. I mean, who's on 10 meds and feels great? I know no one. Okay. So anyhow, I started actually getting into lifestyle medicine, which is about going after the root causes of conditions. And I started posting about eating more fiber, exercising, managing your stress. And that's how I got connected with Anne-Marie. Social media connected us. And pretty much when she started showing me these products, much like so many people who joined, I was like, yeah, right, whatever. But I tried it for myself, and I was able to get off of my blood pressure medicine after 2 months. I was able to watch my brother get off of his insulin with his type 2 diabetes that was through the roof because he wasn't listening to his doctor's sister. But I was able to see his sugar come down and not have to be on his medications either. And I said, why not? And here I am telling people all about it, and I'm excited about it.
You know, you just said a couple of things, and week after week, I like to ask the question, what are the hard questions? And I didn't have one prepared for this week, and I was going to kind of just glaze over, but you just said something that caught my attention. First things first was you wanted to go after the root cause. Are there any medications that attack this root cause?
There's not. The only thing that comes close that they've had some studies about that they think does is metformin. And then not even that, even the shot may come a little close. But at the same time, again, those are man-made prescriptions that have their own synthetic issues. So yeah, we may be hitting the root cause, but then we're bringing all this other crap with us.
And then I don't know if I've asked you about this directly or not. You're a doctor, and you found yourself on the same medications as your patients. Blood pressure. And that's fascinating to me because, you know, I mentioned I've been talking about this a lot on TikTok for the last, it's almost 2 years now. It's crazy to think about. And a lot of medical professionals follow my TikTok channel and are struggling with the same things. And I think what I've taken away from that is that you guys, I'm going to clump you into a big category of medical professionals. You guys give your all to the patient, and it comes at a sacrifice of your own health. I don't think people realize how much you work. You're putting in real hours. You're not doing that. You know, growing up, I always had the idea that the doctor went and hit 18 holes before they went to practice, and they left at 4 o'clock so they could get their filet mignon cooking on time. You know, that's not really the case at all, is it? You guys are working yourself literally to the grind, just like we are.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Working ourselves to the ground. And when you care about people's health and you care about people, like most of us got in here for that, you get emotionally attached. So when your patients aren't doing what they're supposed to do, you worry about them at night. So you have to learn how to detach so you can be involved in your own family, because we all have our own families, our own lives. If you look, doctors get divorced like crazy. I mean, trying to keep a marriage and keep a practice and care about our patients is hard, as most people can understand who are in the corporate world too.
I never thought about, you just said something again. I could just keep on peeling back the layers of this onion. I want to get to the call, but you just said something. One final note on that. You get attached to your patients.
Mm-hmm.
I think that message gets lost a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't think people, I think the medical professionals have been somewhat demonized in, and we've talked about this before. I think they've been somewhat demonized in today's world, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, they're just getting back end deals from the pharmaceuticals. All they care about is prescribing you medication. I think that's horribly false. I think there are doctors probably who fall into that category, but there's a very small population. the vast majority of the doctors, I think, are exactly what you just described. You get attached to your patients. You want to see them get healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost hurts you as much as it does them when you see that they don't. Is that, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sometimes I'm actually crying after I get done seeing a patient, knowing they're not going to do anything, and they're at that edge. You know, like your labs, your cholesterol labs. Boy, that was horrible. And if you would have been somebody that would have said, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything," because I've had those types of patients, I'll be fine. I would have been just wrecking my brain with what I could do to help them, though I can't, because you all have to do what you all have to do. And of course, at that time, I didn't have other tools. Thank goodness I have other tools, but you know what I'm saying. And yes, I would say that whole crazy demonized profession is more the exception, not the rule. I would think, especially primary care.
Yeah. Okay. So here's how this works for everybody that's joining this live stream right now. If you've been tagged into this live stream, if somebody has shared this live stream with you, be it through Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, we're live on Twitter. I saw that we're live on LinkedIn tonight. I think that's super cool.
Hey.
We're live on a lot of different platforms today. If this live has been shared with you, that means that whoever shared it with you thinks that it could benefit with you. So listen up. Listening doesn't hurt, right? Maybe you take something away from this conversation that will change your life. Okay, we're going to talk about some tools that are truly life-saving. I believe they've saved my life. I know that they've saved other people's lives along the way. So if you've been tagged, if you've been invited into this, whether it was shared or tagged through Facebook or something, listen. And if at the end of this, if you decide, hey, you know what? I think I want to give this a shot. I want to order the product. All you have to do is get with the person who tagged you in it, who shared this with you. Just get with them and they'll show you how to order the product, okay? The product is talked about through referrals. It's not talked about on commercials. You're not going to see it on commercials. And that's wonderful. There's no paid actors here. These people are actually people who have benefited from the system. People have actually reversed type 2 diabetes. Okay. So with that in mind, if you decide you want to get on the product, just get with the person who shared the live stream with you. They will tell you how to do it. Now, the way that this live stream works is we've got a number of guests who have been on the system, and they're going to tell you their personal story. And I think what we'll do, Tiff, is bring in one of the two we've got 3 guests here today. I think we'll bring in one of the 2 that I've got in here, and then we'll go over to Arnold, and then we'll finish off with one of the other 2 that I've got in here. Does that work for you?
Sounds good to me.
And after we get done with our first testimonial, I'm going to hand off to Dr. Tiffany and ask her to explain the problem, okay? What is the problem? The first guest that I want to bring in here is near and dear to my heart. And actually, every guest is near and dear to my heart. But this particular one, his wife found me about a year and a half ago on TikTok. And her journey has been amazing. And I almost got teary-eyed right there. What is the matter with me? Guys, don't cry. Royal Harrington. First off, Royal Randy Harrington is 5'17", as his wife says. And I've actually had the great pleasure of having dinner with Randy and his wife in their hometown. And we'll be doing it again in like a month. I'm excited about that. But Randy, do me a favor. And this is a bit of a different twist on the introduction, because normally I would say, how did we meet? Where were you at health-wise? And where are you at now? But we met through your wife. So tell us, how did we meet? Where did you start? And what has the system done for you, brother?
Well, as you said, we met through my wife. She found you on TikTok, and she was having incredible results. So she kind of suggested that I try it, and of course, I did. And health-wise, I was overweight, didn't have no energy. I was a truck driver by trade. And, truck drivers, we don't get a whole lot of exercise, if you say. And plus, the food in the truck stops is not, healthy. But when I started this, I had my triglycerides were 196. My LDL was 89. My A1C, I was not diabetic. I had a pretty good A1C, but I had brain fog, couldn't think, had no energy. And through the products, I have more energy. I've lost 80 pounds.
Wow. Wow.
I dropped my triglycerides down to 61.
Ooh.
My LDL is around 112. So that ratio was a 5.94 for HDL. Sorry, HDL. Was it a 5.94? Now it's at a 1.36. I just had blood work the 10th of this month. And sorry, I'm getting a little overclamped. But it's very emotional for me because I haven't felt this good since I was in my 30s. But anyway.
Awesome. No, it's okay. I had to shake my pom-pom anyway.
Yeah, me too, brother. You bring it out of me too.
Yes, I love it. This is awesome.
Anyway, I was on 2 blood pressure medicines. I'm down on 1. I've actually doubled my testosterone because I had an ED problem. And let's say I don't have that problem no more. But I don't know. What else you want to know?
That covered a lot.
A lot.
That covered a lot. You're down 80 pounds. Blood pressure's normalized. Your testosterone has doubled.
Huge.
Actually went from 152 to 366.
You
testosterone is
glazed over something. And I appreciate your talking about it because I don't think I'm a dude, you're a dude. That's something that generally guys kind of, if it happens to them, they keep it to themselves.
They do.
ED.
Well, most guys think it just happens when they get older. I'm 55 years old. And I haven't acted like this since I was in my 20s.
It is. It's not something people welcomely share. So I appreciate you doing that. It's kind of what I call my doorknob questions after I've seen the patient for a whole hour. Then they're like, by the way, I have trouble. So I appreciate you sharing because that's a real issue. I love it.
I've turned my doctor onto this. I've told her about it. And with my last result, like I said, I just had my blood work done on the 10th of this month. And she looked at what it's done for my testosterone, and she said you could sell it just on that to most men.
You could.
Yeah, it's helped my life tremendously.
Yes.
I'm going to share a screen here. I'm kind of improvising here. That screen right there, and I know Dr. Tiff is going to go into this. I don't want to take. I just realized I'm taking away from your presentation, Dr. Tiff. But on this, erectile dysfunction is one of those symptoms. As are pretty much everything else he described. And I just realized I was stepping on your toes, Tiff, and I apologize. The image is powerful. What I would like to do, though, is hand the baton off to you, Dr. Tiff, to go through, because there's a lot to unwrap. Talk about peeling back the layers of the onion right here. There's a lot to unwrap with what Randy just told us. High blood pressure, overall body weight, testosterone. How does this help with testosterone? Randy, if I shut your camera off, will you stick around kind of backstage for us and then come back at the end of the live stream for anybody that might have any questions for you directly?
Sure.
I appreciate you, brother. You're a rock star, brother.
Now you a rock star.
Oh. I'm not a rock star. What am I doing? I'm just pushing all the buttons here. There we go.
I don't know.
Dr. Tiff, I got a little bit rattled. I don't get called a rock star.
Oh, but you are, Jim.
I got a little bit rattled there. I mentioned that Randy and Tanya, they become near and dear to my heart, very near and dear.
Yeah.
Watching their story together, it's been truly, it's a gift. It's a gift. And so listening to him, that's powerful. So Dr. Tiff, why, what happened here? How did all of this come together with 2 drinks? Like, what's going on?
I mean, because we're getting to the root of the issue. I mean, we're hitting insulin resistance. And of course, I'll go into some more detail, but when you're dealing with the blood pressure, insulin helps us hold on to fluid. So when we actually get that insulin down, we release that fluid, we release the pressure, blood pressure gets down. And the issue with ED a lot of times has to do with the blood flow. So us being able to decrease that allows those vessels to flow appropriately. And then the testosterone, the fasting, we're seeing some good results with the fasting part of that, which we do incorporate with these products. And then when you're adding, that yerba mate that allows us to be able to fast, I mean, it just makes this just a perfect storm for wonderfulness. So I love all his results. And 80 pounds, I mean, come on. Who wouldn't want that? 80-pound weight loss? I mean, goodness. Oh my gosh.
So, insulin resistance.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Am I going into my presentation now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why, you got to give me better cues.
Yeah. What is insulin resistance?
That's why I was like, where am I? We try to change stuff up.
Yeah.
Keep it spicy. And then what happens is, I'm lost. Sometimes you got to spill stuff out.
Keep it spicy.
Keep it spicy. Okay. I actually added some more slides to this because hearing Ben Bickman, I mean, first of all, I'm such a huge fan of that man.
Oh, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Wasn't it? Okay. So the problem, what are we dealing with? So with this Tough Studies, which is where this is from, Tough University, only 7% of American adults actually have good metabolic health. That means 93% for people that can do the math don't. 1 out of 3 adults in the US. But what we find is doing lifestyle-based interventions, you can decrease that prevalence of poor cardiometabolic health by 39%, which is huge, right? And when we're talking about metabolic health, we're talking about pretty much how we take the nutrients that we eat and we use it for energy. And what's at the middle of this metabolic health is insulin resistance. It's a global issue. It affects people of all nations. It affects people of all ages. It does not discriminate. But if we deal with, our lifestyle changes, we can reverse these things naturally, which is huge. So diabetes, everybody really knows this one. That's why I like this slide. I mean, 1 out of every 10 people are dealing with this, but 1 out of 4 don't even know they have it. And then pre-diabetes, the issue before you get diabetes, we're looking at 1 out of 3 adults who have pre-diabetes. And I diagnosed this. I diagnosed this 3 or 4 times today. This is what I do. 9 out of 10 don't know they have it. And they're walking around doing things the same old, and they have no idea. And of course, heart disease is still the number 1 cause of death in the US. But what I love what Dr. Bickman was telling us, not love, but the reality is over half of all adults globally, this is from a global data, have 50% have insulin resistance, over half insulin resistance. And what is insulin resistance? Of course, everybody knows what insulin is. May not know, but you remember seeing these needles because so many of our grandparents were dealing with it, or so many of our parents and so many of us may be dealing with this, right? Insulin is a hormone, and it actually helps deliver energy into cells. It does a lot of things, but in how we're talking about in regards to this, we're going to deal with how it brings glucose into the cells for energy and regulates blood glucose. Insulin resistance is when your cells don't respond to insulin anymore, not as well as they should. So what causes insulin resistance? Too much insulin in the bloodstream. What causes too much insulin? The things we eat and drink, right? So where does this high insulin come from? Well, on this global database, look at this. That's over half of most of the diet that most of us are eating is carbohydrates. Not that much, less fat and even less protein. So that's huge. So if our body breaks down the carbohydrates to glucose, and then insulin is what transports that glucose into the cells. If we're eating too many carbohydrates, we're making our insulin have to pump out way too much. We're making our pancreas have to do too much work. And so why did this happen? Well, one, because in 1992, we had this food pyramid. Y'all remember this, to where we were telling people eat 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrates a day. 6 to 11 servings. So we were telling people, feed your body with all these carbohydrates, right? And all it did was give people all these crazy spikes of sugar. You know, you'd have your breakfast spike, your special coffee drink, your milkshake coffee drink, as Yvette likes to call it, spikes your sugar. And then insulin tries to come in to bring it down, but it overshoots. So then your sugar crashes and you're feeling tired. And then you're starting to feel hungry because it's crashed. And so you eat another snack and it's up again. Then insulin has to come in again and it crashes again. I mean, this up and down spiral is miserable. That's why we feel tired. That's why we're hangry. That's why we have the mood swings. All of those things. It's that sugar roller coaster. So what I've always said is there's 5 things you can do immediately. And, you know, I talk about this, the low carbohydrates, avoiding the processed carbs, the weight training, the high fiber, and then trying to use some sort of intermittent fasting. I still go by this, but I love how Ben said, you know, there's 2. Let's focus on 2. And so since I'm a smart goals woman, I'm going to bring this down to 2 things you can do immediately. Balance your blood glucose and then frequently fast. So that way we decrease the insulin, we decrease the glucose, and we improve the metabolic health. And so how do we balance the blood glucose? Focusing on fiber. We have great data that if you're eating more fiber and if you can't eat more fiber, having a good fiber supplement, that it actually decrease your glucose, thus decrease your insulin. It kind of gives you a discount on that glucose, on those carbohydrates you're eating in a way, okay? And then frequently fast. Of course, when I say that, everybody's like, but it's so hard to fast. It's so hard. You know why it's hard? Because you're hungry all the time, because that crazy sugar roller coaster. And because you don't really use your GLP-1 as well as you used to. So this is a natural hormone. For people, when I say GLP-1, you have to be living under a rock to not know anything about Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. Those things are the synthetic way to get those hormones back into our body. But we already had it. But because of our lifestyles of not managing our stress, not managing our sleep, these hormones have been kind of reduced. And so that's why people are using these shots at these astronomical levels and getting this crazy result, because that hormone is doing what it already was supposed to do: regulate our appetite, control our cravings, enhance metabolism. Okay. So if there's a way to boost this naturally, it would make more sense. And ways to do it are the 5 things I said naturally too. We're doing your exercise, eating the right foods, eating a low glycemic diet, but also having some tools to help. So that's it. That's all I got.
That's all.
That's it.
All I got. Oh,
yeah.
That's all I got, is just all of human anatomy in 6 minutes or less. You mentioned Dr. Ben Bickman.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Ben Bickman, for those who don't know, you know what? I've actually got a little image of him right here. Bear with me, and I will share him.
I am such a fan. Did I tell you how last time he came to talk, I was like in his face so much at the end of the conversation? He was like, okay, Tiffany, what else?
So this is Dr. Ben Bickman. Dr. Ben Bickman is a professor of cell biology and physiology at Brigham Young University. In fact, he oversees the Laboratory of Obesity and Metabolism at BYU. He focuses on brown fat, white fat, and he pays particular emphasis on insulin resistance. He's been published some 30 times on the topic of insulin resistance. You can see all these courses that he's taught through the years. This is what he does. Now, why do I talk about Dr. Ben Bickman? He has a website called insuliniq.com. Everybody should go become a member at insuliniq.com. I have no affiliation with it other than I'm like Dr. Tiff. I'm just a giant fanboy of this guy, right? This website right here. Now, Dr. Ben Bickman has somewhat dedicated his life to the topic of insulin resistance. As of this year, the beginning of this year, 2024, Dr. Ben Bickman is the director of the Scientific Advisory Board for Unicity. And Dr. Tiff and I were just overseas on behalf of Unicity. It was a super cool trip. And we got to listen to Dr. Ben Bickman give a speech on these products and how they benefit people. And it's amazing. When you got the world's top metabolic scientist is a huge advocate for this, it's that really is as telling as any testimonial there is out there. Now, speaking of testimonials, we got more to come, and I love the testimonials that we got coming. If you have been invited into this live stream through Facebook, if somebody tagged you, or if it's through YouTube, somebody shared it with you, or one of the other platforms, if you've been invited into this and it is something that you're interested in trying, just get with the person who invited you into this live stream. They will tell you how to order. If you're on the system and you want to share it with your sister or your mother, I shared it with my mother and my mother-in-law. Both of them have now reversed type 2 diabetes. If you want to share it with a family member or a friend or somebody like that, this is an ideal time to share this through Facebook with them. Type the @ symbol. All you have to do is type that little @ symbol and then start typing their name. Eventually, it will populate with their name and hit enter. Boom, they're tagged. They will get a notification the next time they log into Facebook. And if you have been invited into this, go ahead and listen. It's an hour of your life. Might just change it. Okay. So let me make a brief little challenge to everybody who's listening. Tag 5 people.
Yes.
Tag 5 people. If you're listening right now, tag 5 people into here. Let's see if you can get 5 people into this live stream. And trust me, if they don't come in at this moment, they will see it and they'll watch it in the days to come. Okay. Dr. Tiff.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your guest?
Who is my guest? Oh my goodness. You know what I love? So I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy meeting like-minded individuals. And I had a chance to meet Arnold. Oh, this young man, Arnold Brown. He's already a certified personal trainer, certified nutritionist. He calls himself a linguist because he knows 5 languages, okay? And he's an educator. He's been educating for 10 years. But even before he knew anything about these products we like, he was already somebody who was pushing this healthy lifestyle and was able to lose. Shoot, I had to write some notes because the man has so much stuff going on. He was able to lose like 63 pounds in 18 weeks. And so he's somebody you would call already fit, already knows what to do. So why is he even dealing with these products, right? But it's because he sees the bigger picture, and he's even had some good results while being on it. So I said, yes, I got to have this young man on here. He is just way too dynamic to not. And I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Hey.
How's it going?
Great. Oh my gosh. So excited to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I like about this, real quick, Arnold, what I love about this is that you're relatively new to the system. So we just had, Randy's been on the system for a year and a half and has had obviously an amazing experience.
Right.
My next guest, Mike, has been on the system 8 or 9 months and had a pretty good experience, a pretty amazing experience as well. And all the way down to somebody, you're kind of brand new to the system.
Right.
I love that aspect of it. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, right off the back, again, me being somebody who's been in the health and wellness space, especially having lost 63 pounds, this was back in 2020. I've been on this health journey for about 4 years. I could tell you right off the back, the thing that I really noticed that was powerful is the fact with this product, I felt really good in my gut. I mean, just taking the teas, I'm very self-conscious when it comes to the food that I'm putting in my body and how it makes me feel. So automatically I started feeling some type of like detoxification in my gut that was just absolutely powerful for me. But then the other thing that I can say, especially being somebody who also lifts weight and that's really interested in bodybuilding, I can tell you throughout the year, there are times where I'm typically going through what we call like a cut phase. All right. And what that essentially means is I'm trying to just lean out so I can have that nice looking physique. Right. Well, of course, to do that, I'm eating certain meals throughout the day. But at about 6 o'clock, that's when I'm usually ending and finishing up my last meal. So what's the temptation around that time is hunger. I like how Dr. Tiffany says, I'm usually hangry. So what I love about this product is drinking these teas, they also allow me to curb my appetite where I'm not feeling like I have the temptation to eat and eventually get off of my goals. So that's one of the top things that I find that's really powerful about this product.
I want to ask a couple questions here. So I'm the resident geek when it comes to these products, okay? There is a gentleman named Michael Saunders who I think you should definitely look into, and I'll share the video with you. I don't know if you've heard it or not. Mike Saunders, he used to be the chief science officer for Unicity, but he has a hobby. It's a very interesting hobby that you might be interested in. It's powerlifting.
Okay.
And Mike Saunders, like anybody who spends a lot of time in the gym, had one of those days where he didn't feel like going to the gym. Anybody who's ever gone to the gym knows that feeling, right? That day. And there's always the day where it's like, I don't want to go today, but you end up going, right? But then there's that really bad day, the day where it's like, anything but that. I don't want to do it. And at the time, they were developing Unimate. In his house, he says, I had little packets of Unimate everywhere. And just out of boredom, out of curiosity, he decided to drink a Unimate. And he says, about halfway through it, I decided I'd go to the gym.
Wow.
He says not only did he have a great workout, but it was the best workout he'd ever had. His legs were sore for like 3 days. And he thought, what is this? And he started using Unimate as a pre-workout. Well, he went to his next competition and decided to drink Unimate before his next competition, and he won.
Wow.
He won the best overall. In powerlifting, there is bench press, squat, and deadlift. You combine all three together to get your overall lift, and he had enough to get the W for the day. That intrigued him even more. And now for his next competition, he went and drank a Unimate before each lift. In that tournament, he set 3 world records.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Now, there are other professional athletes. Mike Saunders is, you probably never heard of Mike Saunders. You may have heard of Zach Bitters. Zach Bitter is an ultra marathon runner. That means he runs the really long 100-mile runs. Now, Zach Bitter set 2 world records in the same day, running on an indoor track, the fastest 100-mile run. No, thank you.
Wow.
And the longest distance, I believe, in 14 hours. 2 world records he set in one day. Zach Bitter swears that Unimate is what put him over the finish line. And now I can't think of his name. Toronto Blue Jay.
Yes.
Professional baseball player, and I can't think of his name right now. He's a big name in the Toronto Blue Jays. Also swears by Unimate. So when you talk about these things kind of lifting you up, there actually is some legitimate science. And I'm biting my tongue right now. Because I want to mention the name of a big time athlete, somebody that everybody knows who is on the system, but we aren't really at liberty to talk about him because he hasn't given permission to let people know that he's on the system. But there are some really big names in the sports world that are on this. So when you say you're seeing these benefits, there actually is a lot of science. There are some crazy performance enhancing aspects of Unimate.
Which is huge. One thing I wanted to talk to Arnold about too is because he coaches people and he has clients. And so, we were talking about how he sees how this could even be helpful for his clients too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, as a coach, typically what we want our clients to do is to eat more meals throughout the day. And with that, of course, comes some hesitation because oftentimes it requires a lot of time and a lot of preparation. And of course, with it also comes usually a lot more that they have to put out of pocket as it regards expenses. But that's, again, what I love about this system is that we are cutting out the meal. We're essentially cutting it down to 2 meals a day. Anybody can do 2 meals a day. And with the fasting that's going with that and seeing the results that's healthy, that's the thing that's mind-blowing. Because I'm going to tell you this. When I lost the 63 pounds, I tell people this when they ask me how I lost the 63 pounds. I'm going to tell you, I didn't really do it in a very healthy way. I actually did a lot of fasting. I did do a lot of fasting. I did a lot of cardio. But when you look at my pictures, compared to what I know how to do now, you can see a very big difference in terms of the muscle mass that I lost. And so when I'm seeing the benefits of how this product is keeping people healthy and vibrant, man, that's a game changer. This is a complete game changer.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That's who I was trying to think.
Yes, Vladimir.
Guerrero Jr. Swears by the product.
Yep.
Brother Arnold, I love this. I'm going to go ahead and shut your camera off. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Randy. Will you stick around kind of backstage so I can bring you back in for any questions?
Absolutely.
I appreciate you, brother. Okay, and I want to touch on something real quick, Dr. Tiff. He mentioned some appetite suppression, and you kind of mentioned appetite suppression as well. So GLP-1, you mentioned GLP-1. Dr. Bickman has now studied Unamate ad nauseum, and he is on record. I've got a recording on him. You can see it on my YouTube channel if you wanted to go to my YouTube. It's the Healthy Pitmaster on YouTube. And if you go there, you look up Dr. Ben Bickman on my channel, and you'll see him saying that Unamate increases GLP-1 production by up to 70% during a fasted state.
Yes.
That's huge. Now, Dr. Bickman has also published other research. Let me bring this up really quick. Let me see. What am I doing? Share. I want to bring up this study real quick. This study right here. This study right here. Yerba mate supplement exerts beneficial tissue-specific effects on mitochondrial efficiency and redox status in healthy adult mice. You will see that this was Dr. Ben Bickman on this study. It was published last October. In this study, in a nutshell, basically Dr. Bickman suggests that Unamate increases our body's ability to burn fat efficiently. So there is a lot of clinical validation behind this. Let me bring in this next gentleman. His name is Mike Mall. And similar to the Harringtons. Oh, can you guys see Mike right now?
Nope.
Let's try this again. I don't know what happened there. What is going on?
Oh, man.
Yeah, what is going on?
You know what Dr. Bickman was also talking about that decreases the appetite, which I'm so happy you talked about. This time, where the mate saponins, how that actually turns off those appetite, that hunger craving, which is huge. That bitter taste that people are like, I don't really love that bitter taste in the back. That's actually what calms down the appetite. We need it.
You know what I think is happening? I think Mike is frozen. Mike, can you say something?
Yes.
Okay, I think the screen is
They can all see me.
Oh, we just can't see you. So everybody can see you but us.
Oh,
Yep.
they can see? Oh, they can see. Okay, well, here we go. It's just us then. Well, then I will leave it alone. I can't see you. Tiff can't see you, but everybody else can see Mike.
Okay.
Okay, Mike. Brother, I'm going to ask you the question. How did we meet?
It is frozen.
Where were you at when we met with your health, and where are you at now, brother?
So my A1C was just a little over 12, and I was 230 pounds. And I'm a locomotive engineer, and I get a call 90 minutes later. I have to be at work. So I work more nights than I do days. And I've been seeing Jim on TikTok. And I thought, you know what? I watch this guy enough. I'm just going to order this stuff. And then about 2 weeks later, my blood sugar is much better. And I'm a diabetic. Been for about 3.5, 4 years. And he calls me one day. I'm in my garage, and my wife and I are there, and he's like, somebody from Colorado. I just answered it, and it was Jim. And we talked for an hour or two. And then it was really good. And about 2 weeks later, I quit drinking soda completely. And I was taking 4 shots of insulin a day. And now I don't have to take any. And I'm off 6 medicines, and I'm down 43 pounds.
Yes.
And since I work so much at night, the Unamate really helps me from having all the cravings to eat out of boredom. You know, I'm sitting on my train and it runs itself. I'm just a babysitter, and it's hard to sit there and not eat. But the Unimate really helps.
I'm sorry, Mike. You were on 4 injections per day of insulin.
That's what he said.
You were what we would dub a insulin-dependent type 2 diabetic. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you don't take any anymore.
No.
And your glucose looks just fine. Your glucose is
So my A1C is down to 6.
Okay. Yeah.
And I started February 1st on the program.
Awesome.
And I want to be clear. 6.0, we want to bring that down even further.
Yes, we do.
6.0 is not
But
type
still,
2. That's not type 2. That is pre-diabetic.
that would be characterized as pre-diabetic. Yes. That is awesome.
That's amazing.
It's made me feel better, and I've changed my whole life thanks to this, you know, because I try to exercise a little, and we eat really good at this house. We don't eat much junk food, and it's really helped us, and I'm pretty sure I'm in it for life.
You know,
I had it last week.
I've enjoyed watching this journey. There's a funny part of this story that I love. Mike's wife, you can hear him talking to her in the background. Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
Tracy is a medical professional. She works in the field, and you know, she is around this all day long. And I always tell the story. I love it because here Mike is, this type 2 diabetic, married to a nurse, and he's having to explain to her how he found some barbecue dude on TikTok who told him about this magical little tea, right? And
I didn't even know he ordered it. He started it, and I was like, "What is this?"
The first time that I talked to him, I was like, "Oh man, she doesn't like me. She doesn't like me." I love it. I love it. Love it. Now, I'm going to have you on a separate live stream, Trace, so I'm not going to have your testimonial here, but I just want to say Tracy went into this as a skeptic of all skeptics. And now is on the system, has her amazing journey as well. And I love that. I love seeing a skeptic turn believer because that's what we all were, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I want to talk real quick. Mike, I'm going to shut your camera down, though it doesn't look like that really matters because I think everybody says you're frozen anyway.
Okay.
And I'm going to go through a brief explanation of how the system works, and then I'm going to bring all of our guests back out. I'm going to ask the audience to start keying up some questions. Okay, so here's the deal. How does this system work? And then, dang it, I should have had these ready.
Yeah.
I apologize. Now I got them ready. Okay, so there are 2 products. There is Unimate and Balance. Now, Unimate is the tea that we're talking about. It is a yerba mate extract. Yerba mate has been pretty widely consumed for the last 500 to 1,000 years, give or take, in South America. The indigenous people of the regions of South America that are now Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay would say that it gave them an amazing boost of energy. It made them feel full. They referred to it as the drink of the gods. It, I believe, is the national drink of Argentina still to this point. Now, yerba mate is very high in something called chlorogenic acid. Now, that is an interesting little study, right? What is chlorogenic acid? Chlorogenic acid is a polyphenol. It's naturally occurring in vegetation. We see it in fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds. It is very abundant in yerba mate. Now, chlorogenic acid, there have been a lot of studies. In fact, let me share a couple of studies real quick. I'm improvising here, and that's the best way to do things, right?
Yes.
Let's see. This study right here. This study looks at the effects. And by the way, this is PubMed, National Institutes for Health. This study right here looks at the effects of chlorogenic acid on blood pressure. It's a systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized clinical trials. That's kind of bulletproof. Now, what they found in conclusion, The evidence from published randomized clinical trials suggests that chlorogenic acid intake causes statistically significant reductions in systolic and diastolic blood pressures.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's proof that chlorogenic acid helps to lower blood pressure. Now, this study right here looks at chlorogenic acid and its effect on glucose, lipids, inflammation, and microbiota composition in diabetic mice, and they conclude the results showed that chlorogenic acid decreased body weight, so it aided in weight loss, and improved glucose tolerance and insulin resistance, and these effects were similar to those of metformin.
Yeah.
I just like the way that that sentence sounds. These effects were similar to those of metformin. This study right here says that chlorogenic acid is a novel insulin sensitizer that potentiates insulin action that's similar to the therapeutic action of metformin. This study right here says a chlorogenic acid-induced increase in GLP-1 production may mediate the impact of heavy coffee consumption on diabetes risk. There is all sorts of research on chlorogenic acid. Now, this particular tea has about 20 times the chlorogenic acid of a typical cup of yerba mate, about 10 times the chlorogenic acid of a typical cup of coffee. That's a big deal considering coffee is the most abundant source on earth. This has about 10 times that. Very high. Again, Dr. Bickman suggests that it increases GLP-1 by up to 70% during an increase or during a fasted state.
Yeah.
There are studies that suggest that it increases ketone production way faster than we don't use it. Okay, now, guys, I am sorry. I've got a company that doesn't quite get it. I'm pushing them to voicemail, and they're just speed dialing me, rapid fire. Do not disturb. Okay, the second product is called Balance. Now, Balance is a proprietary blend of 7 different plant-based fibers and a multivitamin. That little combination was developed by Rexall Pharmacy 35 years ago, and it's been studied all over the world, including places like the Cleveland Clinic and the University of Sydney, Australia. Now, the Cleveland Clinic is widely perceived to be the top heart hospital in the United States. Right here, this study right here, fiber and multivitamin combination therapy, and what they would conclude, such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. In a nutshell, the Cleveland Clinic was suggesting that this could be a potential replacement for a statin medication. Now, this study here, done at the University of Sydney, Australia, which is the home of the glycemic index. In fact, type glycemicindex.com into your computer, and it will take you to the University of Sydney, Australia. They maintain the international database and website for the glycemic index. Dr. Jenny Brand Miller is their top professor. She's in charge of the team that does oversee that. Now, Dr. Jenny Brand Miller herself, while at the University of Sydney, for Unicity, studied Balance. And she found that it lowered the glycemic index for every test food that they put in front of it. Furthermore, in a second study, they found that it lowered blood glucose levels 20 to 28% and blood insulin levels 13 to 27%. Those are pretty massive numbers.
Huge.
So how does it work in practice? We talk about intermittent fasting, right? At minimum 16 and 8 intermittent fasting. During your fast, you're going to drink a Unimate tea. It's that simple. The Unimate tea is going to help extend the fast. It kind of gets rid of the food noise. It's going to give you an amazing boost of energy. Randy talked about the mental clarity that the brain fog is just lifted. You'll have to experience that for yourself to really to understand that.
Yeah.
It is amazing what it does as far as brain fog. In fact, I believe Arnold said the same thing. You get an amazing boost of energy. I talked a little bit about the science behind the performance enhancing side of things. You get an amazing boost of energy. More than anything, you're getting an awesome boost as far as your GLP-1 and what it's doing for your health. It's a novel insulin sensitizer. When you're done with your first drink, open a second one and drink it. It's that simple. Before your heaviest meal of the day, you're going to mix the Balance fiber with It's 300 milliliters of water. It's about 8 to 10 ounces of water. And you're going to drink that like you're at a college frat party. As quick as that thing go down the hatch, and then you're going to enjoy your meal. And I always like to say, enjoy your meal. We're not talking about counting calories. We're not talking about sliding the good stuff off to the side of the table. You're going to enjoy your meal. It's that simple. It really is that simple. So with that in mind, the system costs $159 per month. That's a 30-day supply. It's a little over $5 a day. You can't get through a Starbucks drive-through for $5.
Right.
Disney offers a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied for any reason at the end of 90 days, ask for a refund. You'll get all of your money back.
Yep.
Simple as can be. They want you to try their product. What they're guaranteeing is you're going to lower your blood pressure, your glucose, your A1C, your cholesterol. You're going to lower body weight. You're going to just feel great. If you don't, ask for a refund. They'll give all your money back. It's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're interested in buying the product, get with the person who shared this live stream with you.
Yes.
If you are interested in referring the product, then share this live stream with somebody. Okay, let me bring back in our guests one by one here, and we'll open this up to Q&A. What questions have people got for us? We've got the doctor on the hot seat. Let's put her in there. We got call her in. Anyway, we'll wait for a couple questions to come in. While we're doing that, I want to ask Mike. You've been on this now for about 9 months.
Yes.
Inevitably, there are people that are looking at this through some very skeptical lenses, right? They're looking at this like, what is this, right? There's no way this could, there's no way.
Right.
From where you're standing, Mike, what do you say to that person?
It works. It's crazy. You take it and you're thinking, man, I hope this guy was right. And then, I just stuck with it and it works. And my hair grows faster. It's crazy. My fingernails aren't near as brittle, and I just feel better all the way around.
Arnold, you're brand new to the system, brother. What would you say to a skeptic who's sitting there questioning this?
I mean, look at the research. I mean, that's the very thing that just blows my mind. It's the research, and you have the testimonies, but you have the research to back it up. And in my opinion, you can't beat that. So hands down, look at the research. Let that do the talking for you.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was saving Royal to the last, and Cindy asked a question for you, Royal. Royal, you are amazing. How long did it take to reverse the ED?
Well, I started the program in July last year, at the end of July. So probably, I don't know, 6-8 months. I'm gonna guess. I can't really pinpoint it when I finally seen the aha. It just kind of gradually kept coming back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that because I think Dr. Eric Berg talks about how long it takes to reverse insulin resistance, being somewhere between 3 and 6 months. So that's why the sticking into it, the being consistent, like Mike said, is huge because this isn't an overnight thing. We're trying to fix something you've had problems with for decades. Why do you think it's supposed to get better overnight? It's going to take some months.
Mm-hmm. This is my niece. Now, I love this. We talk about sharing it with friends and family, right? Like, I had to get my niece on it. And I just love this comment right here. I don't have much questions at the moment, but I can say this system saved my life and time to get back to solidly doing it. Love you, Uncle. Love you, Steph. My mother has reversed type 2 diabetes. My mother-in-law has reversed type 2 diabetes. As I look at this right here, this panel right here, Mike got on the system, had an amazing experience on it. His wife joined right after that. We don't share gimmicks with our spouses.
Right.
Tanya had an amazing experience on this protocol and shared it with Randy. That's what we're talking about here, guys. There's no gimmick. There's no scam or anything like that. My latest phrase has been, scams don't give you your money back. Okay?
Ever.
Scams don't give you your money back.
Right.
You have literally nothing to lose and everything to gain. Imagine if you're watching this live stream and this is that moment in your life that you can say, made the change.
Right.
Is today the day? If it is the day for you, if you're thinking, you know what, I think I want to give this thing a shot, I've got nothing to lose, get with the person who invited you into the live stream and they will tell you how to order.
Yep.
This has been a powerful one. Mike,
Yes.
Roy, Randy, Arnold, I'm going to go ahead and shut your cameras off. I appreciate you, Dr. Tiff.
Thank
Stick around for a
you.
moment here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Dr. Tiff,
Mm-hmm.
that was amazing.
Wasn't it? I loved it.
What are your, this was a pretty, I feel like a pretty powerful live stream. What are your parting words for this audience?
You know, I want to say it, you know, coming from a family history of diabetes and stroke and everything, it becomes, do you want to be on all those pills? I mean, if you're somebody that's not even taking those medicines your doctor's prescribing you, and you really are having a hard time with the lifestyle changes, what are you waiting for? If you have something that you can take easily, you just sip on a drink and add some fiber to your meal and start to not eat as much and start to not crave as many carbohydrates. That's all we're saying. It really is that simple. And that can save your life, point blank, and your family members and your loved ones and your friends.
Why not? Yeah, I love that. I was trying to think of how I'm going to word that question. I'm just not going to. I love having you on this. I'm so thankful that you join our live stream every week. I'm blessed that you've decided to co-host this thing with me, and I think we are making changes. I think I think this is a powerful live stream. To everybody that's been in this live stream, thank you so much for joining it.
Yes,
We're back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That is our new time slot. Some other things happened on Tuesday night that kind of forced us to make a change. I'm fine with the change, but we are now Wednesday nights. I know what I was going to ask. Dr. Tiff, you're on, give out your social media platforms. Where are people going to, if people want to follow Dr. Tiffany, where are they going to find you at?
Dr. Tiffany Marie on TikTok, Dr. Tiffany Marie on Instagram, and Dr. Tiffany Marie on YouTube and Facebook.
Mm-hmm. And I will say that Dr. Tiffany is much better at putting out videos than I am. You're an inspiration to me. I need to get that.
Really? Hey, not me.
First off, you do a better job at it than I do. But I'm actually a fan of Dr. Tiff. I actually watch every one of the videos.
I'm a fan of you.
If you should decide you wanted to follow my page, it's the Healthy Pit Master, and I have the Healthy Pit Master on every social media platform. It's at The Real Jim BBQ, and the Healthy Pit Master on every social media platform. I put out a lot of content, but it's usually textual type content where I show the studies. So if you're curious about the glycemic index, I had a post that went up today on the glycemic index and its effects on cardiovascular disease. If you wanted to learn about that, that would be kind of the content that I put out. But I also included the study that I talk about in there. So you can actually read the actual study itself. Give either one of us a follow and come back next week for next week's live stream. And you guys have a blessed week, Dr. Tiff.
Yes. You too, Jim.